So we are recording this meeting. This is going over Scouts BSA for Camp Minsi this summer. So I want to talk first about checking in. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to go over to the Camp Minsi website so you can see this check-in paper and where to find it. So if you're at Camp Minsi, that's obviously I was in the Cub Scouts. You want to go under Scouts BSA Summer Camp and go to Camp Resources. And then you can find everything and you can see when it was last updated just to make sure you're using the most up-to-date. But if you look at here, this checking into camp, click that, and you can open it up.
We're not seeing your screen.
You are not seeing my screen. Oh, no.
You're sharing
Okay.
a whole bunch of pictures and
All right,
top of
so
that.
what we'll do is we'll stop that completely. And then we'll go back to the website. But I want to show you how to get there. So if you go under Scouts BSA, Summer Camp, Camp Resources, then if you look through all of this, then checking into camp is right there. And then you can open it up, it's a PDF. So if you take a look, first things is before you come to camp, which is now, complete the online dietary needs form for any special food needs. I'll show you where that is in a second. It's in that same spot we were just at. Settle up your camp fees with our council office. Rather you do that before you come up here. And then select your merit badges and any out of camp afternoon adventures online. Final count of camp afternoon adventures count closes Wednesday before your week at camp. So we just like to have you sign up for those beforehand. Occasionally we can make changes, but it may be full. I had a question. Go ahead, ask a question.
How much are those afternoon adventures cost? And do we have the scouts add them to, do we add them to the check we send you?
You can actually pay for those when you get here. Brian, are they those $80 a piece?
All of them except the rock climbing are $70, 70, and the rock climbing is $55.
Thank you. So it's $70. So the family would bring an additional check for that, or do you want a troop check?
Either way is fine.
Either way.
Okay, so like the whitewater rafting would be 70.
Yes.
Thank you.
Yeah, you can pay for that directly right at the trading post. Just make sure you register online so we save you a spot.
I know my people are registered already for it, but there was no way I couldn't find a price for it to pay ahead of time when we sent you the one check.
We should have a new computer system that will make that a lot easier next year, but for this year, we're stuck with what we got.
That's fine. I just wanted to know how much, and so I knew how to pay for it.
No problem.
Okay, thank you. So I'll bring you a troop check for the people.
That'd be great.
Okay, thank you.
Mm-hmm. So when you do check in, you're going to need these things. Completed health forms for each scout and adult with a physician signature within the last 12 months. I'm going to email you ahead of time permission slips for scouts participating in Cowboy Action Shoot or Afternoon Adventures. You'll get a welcome to your week at camp email, and those will be attached to there. Payment and form if you like troop pictures. And you're going to need your scouts ready for pictures and a swim check if you need it. If you get them done ahead of time, you do not have to be ready for a swim check. One quick note on troop pictures. In the leader's guide, it says that the costs were not confirmed. The cost of the digital picture went up by $10. So I am going to be updating that. But so if you see the form and it says across the top, these prices have not been verified by the photographer, that's the old one. When you get the new one, it'll say these are the prices for 2024. During your check-in day, go ahead.
A question on the swim piece. So we're a separate council, so we're down in Southern Maryland. So it says that it requires, people can do their swim check out ahead of time via council approved sponsor. Is that we have some lifeguards within the troop and stuff? Are people, are we able to check them out and vouch for them, or how does that process work? Will everybody have to swim call when they arrive?
So you can copy attach a copy of their BSA lifeguard card to the back of that roster, and we'll accept that.
And that would be, so for the people that, so if we have a lifeguard, a BSA approved lifeguard, do the checkout of the scouts that are non-lifeguards, is that an acceptable form, or will the scouts that are non-lifeguards need to be checked out when they're there? Like, can we
No,
do
that
it
should be-
internal to the troop?
That'll be acceptable.
Okay, and then it kind of along with the other piece as far as the afternoon adventures, a couple of swimmers want to do the mile swim, but also an afternoon adventure or two. Is it possible to do both, or is it one or the other? Over.
I think they should be able to work that out with you. If you make a plan with their schedule with the aquatics director on Sunday or Monday, they should be able to help you with that.
Okay, awesome. Thank you. That's all I have.
Yep.
Thanks.
No problem. Yeah, the only time that a swim check won't get accepted if you don't have a card with it, or if, for example, you know, if everyone in your troop is a swimmer and they jump in the water and it does not appear that they can swim, then they may ask to retest them. But that's the only case.
Sounds great. Yeah, appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem. So on check-in day, we have some of you coming from far away and some of you coming from close here. You have some options. So from 9 until noon, we're going to have the camp open. That if you'd like to go and get to your campsite, you can drive cars in. You could drop stuff off. You could even settle into your campsite and start setting it up. You can go get into your campsite as early as 9 o'clock on that Sunday. We just ask that you try to be careful on the roads and move cars out as soon as you can. Don't block the roads, those kinds of things. Do be cognizant, the campsite loop on the outer edge is one way. So if you're going into one of the back campsites, you'll drive down to the trading post and then you'll turn and follow the one-way signs. Our regular arrival from noon to 1, you can start moving in, and then we're going to start to limit the number of cars going back. So then we're just asking you to try to keep your stuff into a trailer or one car and move a few cars at a time just to make sure that it doesn't get jammed up. If all of camp came from noon to 1, there'd be a lot of cars in camp and traffic. But by giving some options for people to come early if they like, it's evened out a lot of the traffic. We have spots for a car for each campsite, but just know that, you know, especially if you end up sharing with other troops and such, it may get tight. It may be not what you want. There is sites for each shed or shed for each site. So you can store food and equipment in there. That's open for your use too. When you check into our camp, there'll be a medical box on your table with your troop number on it. And in there, you'll find copies of your schedules, buddy tags, drug administration forms, and that's where you're going to lock medications for the week. So if you have scouts that are taking medicine once you're checked in, those can go in that lock box. You can lock it. And then whenever somebody takes medication, you can just fill out that drug administration form. And then at the end of the week, we get back the lock box and we get the drug administration forms, and those go just into the medical records. So they'll be locked up. Go ahead. We have a question.
Can emergency meds be carried on the person, or do they still need to be locked up?
Yeah. So for example, let's say you have a scout who has an allergy to a bee sting and they want to carry an EpiPen. Then when you check in with the health officers, we'll make a plan for them to be able to carry that.
Okay.
There's a couple different rescue medications that might be necessary to carry. We have quite a lot of medical officers. I myself, I'm an EMT. And so we'll gladly make out a good plan for you.
Awesome. Yeah, it's my scout, so at least I know kind of what's going on, but her medical stuff is multiple medications a day, like just that kind of stuff. So it's easier to carry things, but I think maybe we'll just talk when we check in then. Cool.
Yeah, we can talk and make a plan. It's just as long as we can keep the scouts safe and keep the other scouts safe. That's the most important thing.
Perfect. Thanks.
Do we need to bring a padlock for the med box, and or are there red and blue markers in the box, or do we bring those for the buddy tags?
So for the buddy tags, you just bring us the roster and we do the coloring. And for the lock on the box, we'll provide you with a combination lock.
Thank you.
Yep. So now at 1 o'clock, the staff will start checking sites in. So there's a few key parts to this. We'll travel the loop together. We'll have a team of people checking individuals in. And this is the pattern we follow for checking in the sites. And it follows the path that we walk. So if your troop, let's say we get there and your troop says we really need 20 more minutes or we need more time, we can definitely circle back and catch up. That will be fine. But if you're, let's say you're site 8 and you say, wow, we came in at 9 o'clock and we want to check in now. If we kind of get out of this cycle too much, then it slows down check-in for the whole day. So if you're in site 8, like the earliest we'll be there will be probably 2:50. Get ourselves ahead and you say you're ready to go, we might be able to do it a little early, but most likely it'll be at that time that it's listed there. You'll have the campsites soon. I'm going to talk about campsites a minute after this. When you arrive, if your troop is all settled in and you do have some time before you check in, you can always go to the trading post. Trading post is open that Sunday afternoon. We have our Gaga pits if they want to play some games. If they want to do a walk around tour of camp on their own, that's fine. But we'll plan on meeting you at these times in your sites. We'll have site guides who will check over the campsite with you, check for any problems for tents and cots, and they'll mark them so the ranger will start on that. Medical checks, they'll review your health forms, and then we'll trade your health form for colored bracelets. And we'll go over the meaning of the different colors when you're there at camp. And then once you're all checked in, your site guide will take you either to dining hall orientation or camp pictures, depending upon which has the shortest line at the moment. And you'll do both of those. And then after that, you would go to do your swim checks. Go ahead, I have a question.
Sorry, couldn't get off mute.
No
For
problem.
those that are arriving early, do you recommend bringing a lunch or something like that?
Yeah, I would bring lunch.
All right, good to know. Thanks.
Yeah. And then that night, the schedule of 5:45 will have colors of the parade field. 6 o'clock we'll have dinner. 7 o'clock in the parade field, we'll have some staff that'll be leading people on tours of camp. And also you can ask questions and get some answers. And then we'll be meeting at the parade field for the opening campfire at 8:45. I'm going to go back to this next here. All right, we're on the website for documents and forms, right?
Yep.
Yeah, okay. So if you look at the bottom of this form, this is super important. Camp Minsi food allergy and special dietary need form. We have a professional food service candle. And it is just a simple Google form here. And if you put this information in here, that'll start the process of making sure that anyone who has special dietary needs, they can make sure that they're well fed during the week at camp. So the sooner you do that, the better. Just because they're planners, they like to get it planned out ahead of time. Go ahead.
That's for the parents to fill out?
Yeah, I would have a parent or a scoutmaster fill it out with them.
And they fill
Yeah,
it
if it's
out there,
adult-
and there's a place there where they can submit it. Once it's all filled out, and it goes to your computers and gets in the hands of the appropriate people.
Yeah, this goes directly to the food service company, and then they actually will give us a list of anything that we need to know for the week. So, for example, if someone has an allergy that might be a problem out in camp, then they'll give me a list of all those things. But each person who has any kind of special diets, they should fill this out as soon as possible just to make sure that they have the information. Okay. If one thing we're not going to talk about a lot today is merit badges. If you want to go over the merit badge schedule, I do have that. There's a recording there of our last meeting. All right, I'm going to stop this for a moment and go back to the PowerPoint here. Okay, talking about campsites. So I emailed the person who did the registration for your unit, the information for this meeting and also a link to the survey. If your unit hasn't filled that out, if you can fill that out as soon as possible. I'm going to start with assigning the week 1 campsites and working my way through. I'd like to start doing that very soon, but some weeks I don't have a lot of these surveys in. So as soon as you get these surveys in, that helps me out a lot. If you can't find the link, you can email us at campminsi@minsitrails.org. And just one per unit, please.
Is that found anywhere but in the email that you sent?
Only in the email because I didn't want other members of your troop filling it out again for you and me not knowing which was the correct information. So if you can't find it, just email me and I'll email back a link. So I'm going to talk about the chili cook-off, and then I'm going to hand off the meeting to Matt, one of our program directors. The chili cook-off is Wednesday night. Wednesday night, we're going to do our chili cook-off and the Order of the Arrow ceremonies. And we will be providing all of the basics of chili to your troop for you to be able to cook. I think they are going to have the meat pre-cooked, so you don't have to worry about scouts maybe not cooking things as well or holding them at temp very well. But you can think about whatever other things you'd like to add to your chili. We will have an opportunity that you can bring the chili for some testing by our judges. So if you'd like to be in the running to win the chili cook-off for the best chili of your week at camp, you could definitely come up with some special items to add. So you should think now about bringing cooking equipment for that, because you're going to want to have an ability to cook.
Hey, is that going to be what ingredients will be provided in is there going to be like a cornbread or some kind of carbs as part of that? I'm just trying to think through what other things if the troop isn't big chili fans, what we might be able to make with that. Over.
I'm gonna take a look at that with you right now, because that is on the menu. So we go back here. We have a different menu for the Scouts BSA weeks and the not Scouts BSA weeks. So they're going to do the chili ingredients. I think they have some kind of bean and meat, a couple other things with that, and then cornbread and a Southwest salad, which I think is like a corn mix and such. And then the ingredients for Oreo Dream for a dessert.
Awesome. Yeah, thank you. Appreciate the insight. Thanks.
No problem.
Just to confirm, that's already baked cornbread, not a mix that we do in a Dutch oven.
Correct. Yeah, no. You'll not be cooking the cornbread.
The Oreo Dream, is that just a mixed stuff together pudding type thing, or?
Yeah, that is they'll be able to make it, but it is a mixing of ingredients. There's no cooking involved.
Thank you.
Yeah, no problem. We have another question. Go ahead.
I may be misremembering this from reading way too much leader guides.
Yeah.
So the first year program, they do an overnight, right? Or something where they're off doing their own thing and it overlaps dinner. Is that right?
They will be doing an outpost. I think we're probably going to make it so that they are eating dinner in the dining hall though.
Okay, okay. I was gonna, well, because for some reason it stuck out in my head that it overlapped this insight night.
Oh, okay.
Does it?
I don't believe so.
Oh,
I had the
okay.
same feeling when I read the leaders program also.
Right?
You're not alone.
Okay. Because out of our 4 scouts, 3 of them are in the first year program. So we're just trying to figure out like who's
Gotcha.
having chili.
Okay, so it sounds like I'm getting messages from our staff member in the meeting here. They said in the past they did, and they did do a cookout in place of this, but that's not the plan for this year.
Okay,
Can
cool.
you please re-explain this year's plan so I understand the difference between what I read in the leaders book and
Yeah, actually,
If
I'm
it's
gonna
different
keep
from what
going
you're
for now,
telling
and
me.
then we have another spot where I'm gonna hand off to the program director. We're gonna talk about the first year camper program. So let me finish up on the menu here, and we'll get back to the we'll get moving forward so that we can get to that spot with the first year camper. And there will be, we had a question, it has water to drink. There will be also something else to drink. And I think that is still being determined because the prices have been fluctuating a lot. We don't want you, we don't, we want to find a good reasonable solution for another part of our beverages. All right, let me. I'm gonna hand off to Matt Gillespie, who's one of our 2 program directors. We also have with us Casey Pohl, who is another program director, who's our specialist in Cub Scouts, and we have Trey, who's an assistant program director here. So I'm gonna hand off to Matt. He's gonna go through. We have older scout, we have the younger scouts, we have some other things in here for him to talk about. So go ahead, Matt.
All right, good evening, everyone. My name is Matt Gillespie. I'm going to be one of the program directors, as Poof said. I'm primarily going to be working with the Scouts BSA program. So mostly what I'm going to talk about tonight is a lot of the non-merit badge program offerings we have, specifically the ones that go along with the theme for this year, which is a Guardians of the Galaxy Avengers style theme. So our older scout program is for scouts who are 14 and up. This is something that we're bringing over from Settlers Camp, where I had worked in the past. And the basic idea is this is a program for older scouts to experience some leadership building, teamwork building kind of experiences, and also get to see some areas of camp that they wouldn't normally during the day. So these are typically later evening programs. We'll usually start these around 9 o'clock after the regular evening programs are done. And this is kind of where the week-long story that goes along with our theme takes place. So we're doing sort of like a parodied version of the Guardians of the Galaxy are coming to camp. They're looking for the Infinity Stones and they need help from some of the older scouts in camp. But this could extend as well to scouts of all ages during things like colors, troop reports, during meals in the dining hall, when you bring your chili cook-off sample for judging, and of course at the end of the week, campfire, skits, songs, cheers, just little run-ons, things that your scouts can do. You can bring up props and costumes as long as things are scouting appropriate. We like a lot of participation from the scouts in the program and the theming. The older scout program specifically will be Monday, Tuesday, and Thursday evening. They'll get a sheet on Monday night with a list of some of the events. There'll also be some things that they can participate in throughout the daytime as well. But that'll be explained in full on Monday night when we kind of get into the heart of the theme a little bit. Are there any questions about?
On Liverpool Turnpike towards.
Oh, sorry. Somebody's got their GPS on. Were there any questions? I know some of you are familiar if you've been to Trexler in the past with kind of how we integrated the older scout program, but for many of you, this is probably a new thing as well as the theme. No, okay. One of the
I
other
have a
things,
question.
oh, okay,
What's the, so the last camp, summer camp that I went to, the theme was like 1990s music. And so so I can like know what kind of props to bring. What's this year's competition?
sure. So it's, are you familiar with the Marvel superheroes, Guardians of the Galaxy or the Avengers?
Yes, so we have to pick a song from one of those movies?
No, not necessarily. You don't have to pick a song. You can do, if, like I said, if it doesn't have to be something specifically from the movie. If you want to do like a parody or a version, your own version of a superhero or one of the aliens or robots from those movies. A lot of what we're going to be doing is kind of like a silly scout version of those movies. It's not going to be a direct take on the movie itself. So there's really, like I said, as long as it's scouting appropriate, there's really no hard and fast rules to what you can do. I would say challenge the scouts to use their imagination, use the movies as a starting point, but they can expand from there. Does that answer your question?
Yes, thank you.
Okay, you're welcome.
Right.
Any other? Okay.
So Matt, I'll let you talk about first year camper. If you want me to jump in at all, go ahead.
Sure. Yeah, so the first year camper program, Trail to Adventure, is specifically, this is again a non-merit badge offering that we give where it's for typically first year scouts who are looking to work together on some of their tenderfoot, second class and first class requirements. And again, it's a good just introductory program for first year scouts that they have a lot of other peers to work with and go through their first year at camp together. The schedule this year is going to be a little different. If you were at Minsi last year, this is similar to how we did it at Settlers last year, where we have 3 separate hour-long blocks. Now, a scout can sign up for TTA for either the morning or the afternoon. And if this is really their first year at in scouting, rather, I would recommend that they just do a full morning or a full afternoon session, and then they'll work on requirements from all 3 of those first ranks. But if you have a scout or if your troop is a little bit more involved and they've already gotten to tenderfoot or second class, they are allowed to, for instance, in the morning, all the tenderfoot requirements are going to be from 9 to 9:50, second class from 10 to 10:50, and first class from 11 to 11:50. So if they've already gotten tenderfoot, they could take a merit badge at 9, and then they could just come to TTA for the second and first class requirements. So it is kind of like a choose your own adventure. You can just kind of pick what you want, and then the rest of the schedule is open to them if they want to do other merit badges or if they want to do some of the open programs or outdoor adventures, those sorts of things in the afternoon. They are able to do that. They're not locked in by any means to Trail to Adventure. I did take a look at I actually have a copy of the leader's guide in front of me. There is a mention in there for the Wednesday night, the in post, they called it.
Okay.
It does mention that they, I guess last year they did it on Wednesday night and they did cook the chili together. So
I believe we're moving all outposts to Thursday night this year, right?
Thursday night, yeah. So that was just a
yeah, that's a
that was just a
mistaken leader's
misprint.
guide.
Yeah.
Is there a morning and an afternoon Trail to Adventure or just the morning?
Yeah, so there's both a morning and afternoon. Now, if your scout is taking the morning session, they don't need to show up. It's just a repeat of the morning session in the afternoon. And it's the same. It's 2 to 2:50 will be tenderfoot, 3 to 3:50 would be second class, and then 4 to 4:50 would be first class.
I always had this struggle when I would take my troop to camp, and I'd have that one kid who's really doing a great job and shows up to everything, and they're already second class. And then they go, do I do the first year camper program or do I just go into merit badges? And then I go, well, we're gonna have to pick because not all of it's gonna apply to you. You've already done it, but it's good practice. And like, and this is really a great way for you to be able to, go in between. If you get a brand new kid who's working on their tenderfoot, they can get all 3 sessions in and get a lot out of it. But if you have kids who say, I don't want to take it because I want this merit badge, well, then they don't sign up for that trail to adventure that session. Or if you have a kid who's a little advanced, you can mix and match on which parts they're going to do. I think this was a great addition over with that Matt brought to us from Trexler.
Yeah, it worked out really well for us last year. And like I said, especially with some of the offerings in the afternoon. I know when we first started doing this type of program, it was an all-day affair. And then a lot of times, scouts who were in that kind of program would maybe get 1 or 2 merit badges for the whole week. Now that you can really get, you can maximize your time with not just merit badges, but some of the other programs as well. Are there any other questions about TTI? I know that one is pretty detailed in the leader's guide.
I'll look at the question in chat. So
Leader's guide.
actually, here is the one thing I'm going to mention. We had a question on outposts. If we are going to do any outposts, we're going to ask that troops volunteer some leadership that they have to provide the adult leadership component. We have staff of our own, but we're going to need scouts or leaders to step up if we want to run the outposts, which they haven't been doing for a while. We need help from troops that have additional leaders. So what is going to be that leadership ask is if we have some outposts that your scouts want to participate in, we're going to ask right away if there's a leader from your unit who's interested in attending that outpost. And if we have at least 2 adult leaders, the outpost will happen. If we have at least a female leader, then female scouts can attend. If we have at least a male leader, male scouts can attend. If we have one of each, then everyone can attend. The outposts were something that were really a key component of camp in the past. And just with ensuring that there was enough adult leadership and supervision of scouts, they disappeared for a while. And we'd like to work on bringing that back. With the afternoon adventures, there's times where we're looking for adult leaders to possibly participate. Adults are more than willing to sign up. And most of the time we have enough adults with them and our staff that we have the leadership requirements of the BSA covered. But if not, we'll be asking for some volunteers who might be interested in joining that group.
Yeah.
All right, back
sure.
to
I would just add.
go ahead.
Oh no, just in general, I know that if you have some free time during the week as a leader and you want to help out at an area, I know that Trail to Adventure is always a good place to start because it's usually a large group and they can be rambunctious, we'll say. So if just even for crowd control, like I don't foresee us needing any help with teaching necessarily the requirements, but it's always good just to have an extra pair of eyes down there.
I want to go to maybe I'll talk about afternoon adventures for a moment.
Yeah.
Our afternoon adventures right now are the same exact as they were last year. I know some of your units weren't there before. This is something you'd sign up for just like a merit badge. And there is an additional cost. They are each $70 or $55 for the rock climbing, like Brian had mentioned. But we do need you to sign up ahead of time. You'll pay here at camp. You'll pay at the training post. Right. And one difference with that from last year is a lot of these had age requirements before. The age requirement right now The only one that has it still is the Treetop Adventures, is the only one we're maintaining that 14 years old. It is an awesome experience, and it can be a little frightening sometimes for some of the younger ones. And we don't want to have the situation where we have kids paying for it and not able to complete the Treetop Adventure. So I'm keeping the 14 years old on there for now. Mountain biking is an option for you to get the 22 miler in for cycling merit badge. So if you have kids doing cycling merit badge and they want to get the 22 miler in while they're in camp, that is a good option there. Oh, and I'm going to talk about blue cards. So with blue cards this summer, in the past, Camp Minsi has been using paper blue cards and paper rosters, and that creates some issues just with record keeping for your troop and record keeping for me. When it gets to lost blue cards, then there is a lot of rosters to go through, and it sometimes rains while they're trying to get rosters together, and kids lose blues cards and forget to turn them in. The rock climbing is open. I believe the rock climbing is open for all scouts on Friday, yes. Yeah, rock climbing is open for everyone. It is, I will warn you with the rock climbing, it's just a little physically demanding. So that's the one where sometimes the scouts are just, they get to a point where they're tired, and that's when they're done. So if you have scouts who really love rock climbing, but don't have a lot of upper body strength, then maybe that's not the year to do this. But you know, like if they have a reasonable amount of body strength, or they know like you're gonna climb till you're tired. So that's just how that works. It is a lot of fun. So with those blue cards, we are going to be doing electronic blue cards this year. And I was trying to do some electronic blue cards with STEM camp last year, and I got some feedback from units. So I'm trying to, you know, take the feedback from all the things that were what we didn't like about blue cards and fix all this for you. So what we're going to be doing is we're going to be taking that information from the merit badges your scouts sign up in Double Knot for, and then that's going to go into a database where the merit badge counselors are going to be able to mark off attendance, and they're going to be able to mark off what requirements the scouts finish as they finish them. And then we're going to use that information to print blue cards like this one, where your scouts information is printed right on it. So it will look like a blue card, other than it'll be typed up. I probably will just put your scout's name and their troop. I will not fill in their address. You can have them fill in the address later. It'll also not have the signature of the unit leader, but please double check that you've had a discussion with your scouts about what merit badges they're going to take at camp. A few things that I know will come up right away is, what if my scout changes their merit badge on Monday? You know, like let's say we decided we were going to take small boat sailing, and the swim check did not go as well as we had hoped. And now, you know, we're worried about being able to complete the merit badge because we can't pass the swim check today. And they switch to another merit badge. They decide they want to switch. The counselors will help them get the information we need so that we can fix it on our end. So we make sure that scouts, you know, are in the right classes in our computer system. I know there's times where someone's trying to sign up for something and they have a little issue and they have trouble. I can go in and fix any of that. I have a few people working in the office with us that are going to be responsible for helping you when there's a problem with making sure your scouts are in the merit badge classes and such. And then also, this will give you a little better handle on if your scout doesn't complete some of the requirements. It'll be easier for you to see what they're still missing that we can try to fix. Or, you know, like let's say your scout only attended the merit badge on Monday, but told you they were going to go all week. You'll be able to see that a little quicker. So this is a little new for us, and I know we're moving to a new computer system next year, so it may be a little bit different still next year. But I wanted to be able to print out blue cards with the information and have an electronic record. So if all of a sudden you go to do your court of honor, and you you were sure that someone finished basketry merit badge, but you're really not sure, and can't find the blue card. You can call us up, and the council office and I will be able to just look up in the computer whether or not they finished the merit badge, and be able to just email you a new blue card that's completed. So let's say your troop only takes paper blue cards, which sometimes I get kids who come up to STEM camp and they say, our troop told me they will only take a paper blue card. So I'll do an electronic one, and then we can gladly stamp a Camp Minsi stamp on a paper one and also give you a paper one. I think most troops are okay with electronic ones as long as they look like this. The ones that actually print off from our computer system do not look like a regular blue card. And there was a lot of troops that said, well, that's not a blue card. So
Explain to me again, at the end of the week on Friday, what are you going to actually give to us? Or are you going to email us a list? I'm confused now. You're talking about paper, you're talking about no paper.
At the end of the week, I can either print them for you and hand them to you, or I can email them, or I can do both.
Got it.
And if they're lost, I can email you a new one or mail you a new paper one. But that way, I'll have that information in a computer that, anytime there's a problem, I can help you out right away, and at my fingertips, I can tell whether or not a scout completed the merit badge.
Sounds like a good idea.
Yep. So I think I answered the question in the chat too. I will print and email. If you tell me just email them to me, I'll just email them. Or if you only want print, I'll keep my electronic copies and I'll print them for you. Now, on this paper here, or on this slide here, it also talks about prerequisites. The number one reason that scouts got partials and merit badges at camp was not having the prerequisites done. So if you could do me a big favor and just remind your scouts to make sure the prerequisites are done. I know I have a troop of my own, and I feel like there's times when I've had this conversation several times with a scout and they still come to camp without the prerequisites. It happens. But no, not having the prerequisites done is the number one reason why kids get partials. Most kids go to their merit badge classes on time, and they participate in all the activities, and they do great throughout the week. It's just a matter of, like, for example, aviation merit badge. One of the options is visiting an airport. I do not have an airport here for you to visit. And some of the things where it says do this for 6 weeks or do this for so many months, like I can't finish that with kids in the week. But let's say you get a scout who says all their prerequisites are done. They come to camp, it's not done, and they're going to get a partial. But if it's something simple that they can finish by the end of the summer camp season, if you email me a note from the Scoutmaster, which can be just an email, you don't have to scan anything. If the Scoutmaster emails me saying that this scout finished the prerequisites, I can update the blue card. So I can update the blue card and email you a new one. I just ask that you do that by the end of staff week, because when we operate a summer camp, we get authorized to give all of those merit badges during the course of the summer. So once summer camp is concluded, then I need you to find a different merit badge counselor. Some of our staff are a merit badge counselor year round for their merit badges, and they may be able to help you out. But for some of them, they only are on the council list during summer. The end of staff week is, I'll be sending home my staff about August 7th, but I will be still ready to go through August 10th. Lots of the kids who I had who got partials last year, they left camp, and then Monday morning, I think their parents drove them to wherever they needed to be. And we had blue cards done right then. But August 10th is really that kind of cutoff. So for the prerequisites, usually it is in the form of a note from the Scoutmaster that they complete the prerequisites. Sometimes, for example, like emergency preparedness, They would love it if the scouts print out a couple pictures of their emergency kit and could explain it. But a note from the scoutmaster would also be accepted. So if there's something that you know the scouts have done and they just are having an issue, a note from the scoutmaster can cover the prerequisites, as long as they're done. But if it's share with your counselor about the emergency kit, picture or some detail would be nice so that they can actually have that conversation. Other questions on prerequisites and blue cards? I'm hoping this will be a lot easier for you guys than last year, and I'm hoping as we update our computer systems, you'll have even a better experience as we go through each year.